He admitted it. There are fortresses, didn't he?
Yeah, obviously fortresses, I think he said. Yeah, we're not allowed to use that that quote in future.
No.
Yeah, he does believe in them, apparently.
Aha.
So, yeah, this game could go down in history as changing his mind.
Wow. All the other matches have finished in the rapid portion, but this one needs to be decided in tie-breaks. Anish Giri and Liem, they played 4 draws in the rapid portion. This is Blitz game number 1. Best out of 2 Blitz games here in the tie-breaks. If they're still tied, then it will be decided in Armageddon. But in this first Blitz games, we're coming into it in move 28, and the bar is over to Anish's side. He is sitting in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's a very simplified position. Queens are off the board, but it's all about the pawn structure. And if you look at Black's pawns, especially on the queen side, the A and C pawns for Black, eternally weak. One of them is going to drop, maybe even now. And also, if we look at the other side of the board, White has a 4 versus 3 advantage. So there we go. 1 pawn does fall. Liem now has to battle. It's still some drawing chances because Black eliminating pieces. Black's remaining knight is going to be very, very strong, hard to get rid of. But Anish favourite, Jovanka?
Yeah, Anish is a big favourite. He's a pawn up, as you mentioned, and Liem, of course, is fighting hard. The one thing I do have to say about Liem's position is that his pieces are now becoming very active, and the rooks are going to mobilise, and White's knight sitting there on c4 isn't necessarily the most stable piece. And we also have a problem, a potential problem with the pawn on h5. I mean, it looks great, it clamps it down, but it's also a target. And these are the things that Liem will be thinking about and getting some inspiration from. But of course, Anish is a pawn up.
Yeah.
He has good winning chances.
And it's funny in a way because Anish, he's got a reputation for being very good technically in these kind of positions where he's got a strategic advantage or a long-term endgame advantage. But Liem is also very good at defending. So who's going to break through? Is it going to be the great endgame grinder, Anish, or is it going to be the very tenacious, very tricky, very slippery defender, Liem? And yeah, it's somewhere in the middle at the moment. Anish is a pawn up with the advantage. A slow move there, just pushing a pawn, getting ready to maybe move the white king slightly closer towards the centre. Black does the same right there. Yeah, you're right about this white knight. It's not going to be sitting pretty for too long. It's going to be kicked away eventually. And it's just about when Liem tries or attempts to do that. White's remaining rook needs to activate meanwhile. How can Anish get his rook there on f1 into the game?
Yes, it kind of wants to bypass its own pawn and plant itself on the f3. Maybe it's heading there. Yeah. And the rook moves to c1, protecting its knight. Maybe going up, maybe with ideas of going up to the 3rd row. Yeah,
and the reason you want to plant that white rook on f3, Jovanka, is because that black pawn on the f7 square, it is targetable. It's possible to target it on the 7th rank and from the front on the f-file. So, yeah, both the white rooks need to be improved. Liem only has this small window now of 2 or 3 moves before White gets fully organised. He has to do something, Liem. Otherwise, it's just going to be pawn down, miserable defence. Maybe impossible defence if he can't find anything. Black's rooks need to also activate, but where? I don't see any great squares. Black's rooks already look perfect. Maybe that's the problem for Black. His knight's already on its perfect outpost. The black rook's already on their perfect files. This looks good.
That looks great. I mean, what a square. In the middle of the board, supported by its own pawn. I mean, it's not going to be doing anything from there, I'll give you that. But visually, it's good.
Yeah, visually good. And Anish, how can he continue? I would be very tempted to just slide White's rook on the A file up to the 7th rank. Why not? Rooks on the 7th really do love life. The white king also feels a bit offside right now. I would just want, there we go, as Anish does, slide it across, protect an undefended pawn. Yeah, if all the rooks disappear, easy win for White. White's pawns on the right side of the board, the 4 there, will start advancing. You can't trade off any rooks yet for Anish Giri, so maybe you need to play actively, dynamically with those rooks.
And again, very difficult move to suggest for Liem. I mean, what to do? His knight is perfectly placed. Rooks are also well placed. What to do? Yeah. I mean, you probably just have to move the rook back, actually.
Sit tight.
Yeah, just hold and wait for Anish to come up with an aggressive plan.
The problem is, for Black, you can't really abandon your 8th rank, the back rank. This is why you mentioned the 2 white pawns clamping down, the white pawns on e5 and h5. If the black rook ever the B rook leaves, you're right, Ivanka, it goes back the other one. But if the 8th rank was abandoned, White's rook would go up with a check, and Black's king is actually in almost a mating net. Black's king doesn't have too many escape squares, so even in an endgame, there's ideas of attacking for Anish Giri, and if Black goes backwards, he should go forwards. Maybe move that White rook at the bottom of the board up 2 squares, as you mentioned. What else? There are plenty of ways to try and improve. I don't think you should start pushing pawns yet on this right half, because the White king would be a bit vulnerable, and okay, he doubles his rooks on the A file.
Yeah, getting ready to trade off a set of rooks. And in the meantime, the position is very critical in terms of on the board and also on terms of on the clock. And there we have Liem down to how many? 26 seconds.
Yeah, and he looks very calm, Liem. He looks very composed, but his position is terminal right now. He's abandoned his 8th rank.
Give a
White
check.
gives a check. The Black king is forced to move, and White's knight can now start leaping forward, maybe to the D6 outpost. That looks really nice. At some point, there will be an idea of White's rook in the corner moving itself across, and both of the 2 White rooks teaming up on the 8th rank, going behind the Black king. Black's king is trapped. Anish may be calculating trying to do something like that right now, even. Maybe White can move his rook, but why take the risk? Just move the knight, retreat the White knight, push it forward wherever you go. It looks promising.
And Anish now coming to under 40 seconds on the clock. You have to remember the players are not getting their 10-second increments, but they're only getting 3 seconds.
3 seconds, that's right. So 3 seconds after every move sounds like a lot, but it really disappears quickly. And Anish's time is disappearing very, very quickly.
Now down to
it has been
17 seconds.
Yeah, it has been his Achilles heel throughout the majors in the tour. The Blitz playoffs, he's lost nearly all of them throughout the season. And, OK, the White knight leaping forward now, going towards the Black king. Looks very strong, looks very good. Black has regained the pawn, level material now, but here we go. Monster threat on the board. White's rook in the corner, going up to the 8th rank, and that will end in checkmate. Black's king will be trapped. How to evacuate the Black king, though? Liem, he needs to find a way.
Oh, with 5 seconds.
He has to offer a trade of rooks. No, he doesn't. He tries to make an escape square for his king.
I think this one loses. I think the Black king can run, but not far enough. And there we go. The evaluation bar confirms the White rooks can start sliding across. White's knight can even start rerouting itself.
Here he comes.
Here
One check, and now a second check.
Yeah, a second check. Black will be forced if... OK, this check first. Very clever, actually. Black can block with the knight, but this knight can be undermined. There we go. Doubling up. That Black knight is pinned. It's lost. It's dropping off the board. And, yeah, Anish has got this one now. All he has to do is make sure the White king doesn't come under some fire. But, OK, maybe Black's rooks are creating some counterplay. How can Anish get his king out of danger suddenly?
Well, he has to give up his knight, and there you go. And Liem is like, no. And knight check. But now it's fine.
Yeah.
Good defensive technique from Anish. Now the F line is open. All he has to do is give a check to the king, and now the rook covers everything.
Yeah, very clever. He actually lost 2 moves, Anish Giri. He even gave his opponent a pawn in the process, but it's all to open the F file for the defense. White's rook controls everything, and Black's king is getting active because there's nothing else to do. Black has a very dangerous pawn, but White's knight can start running back at some point in the near future, and it will be able to stop that pawn. First, why not attack it? Double attack against Black's passed pawn. Now that Black's rooks are no longer teaming up on the 2nd rank, it is time to reactivate White's knight. Clear piece ahead. This one is a matter of time now. Liem simply has no ideas, no active ideas. On the 4th rank, he's pinned. That Black c-pawn is never, ever moving again.
And here comes that extra piece, giving some checks, causing some hassle. And here you go, attacks the rook.
He went the long way around with that knight, but now he's attacking Black's pawn. You can even just give up everything now, capture that pawn, and he does so. The king and pawn endgame will be winning for White. And we'll see that in action. I'm so happy the players are playing on to the end here. We'll learn a lot from this endgame. But White essentially has a passed pawn. This is the same exact pawn structure that Magnus Carlsen and Wesley So had in the queen endgame, actually, with queens on the board. But this one is winning because queens are off, and Anish Giri, he thought his opponent was about to resign. But no, no surrender. And this f-pawn, the protected pass pawn, is going to win the game for white. Black's pawns are dropping. Game over. Anish will take the win. Had to wait for it, but he took it.
There it is. He takes the lead in the Blitz tiebreaks, Anish Giri, with the white pieces in Blitz game number 1. Yep, he shows up 5 fingers. 5 minutes until game number 2. Anish in the lead with a great win in the arena in San Francisco.